Alrighty, on the screen, on this PowerPoint screen, you see that we will be moving to the Alumni Visitor Center, the Career Center will, in 2025. That's what we'll be starting probably spring, summer. So be able to look out for more information about that and other programs and events that we'll be doing to launch that. Of course, with every Career Center workshop or event, we like to start with our mission statement. So we are here to provide students and first-year alumni the tools and resources to succeed in their own ways. So we like to empower students to make sure that they can do their resume review, interview skills. They can learn those lessons here and then take them with them after they graduate. We also like to start with our diversity statement. So everyone at the Career Center welcomes everyone from all different identities, walks of life, beliefs. We want to make sure everyone has a seat at the table. All right, and of course, with the Career Center, we have 9 core competencies, which we will touch on today during our UPIC conversation. This is also what a lot of our UPIC internships are based on. These are 9 core competencies that graduate schools and employers like to see in future students and future employees. And so we'll touch on a little bit of these as we go through our conversation today. All right, and for attendance and also to get more information about our UPIC internships, which just came out yesterday on Clemson Job Link, please put your Clemson email in the chat and I will send more information about our internships and also this recording to you as well. I'll give you all a few minutes to do that. So now, once you can still continue to put your Clemson email in the chat, we will go ahead and get started with our conversation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we will just be on me and our lovely alumni. Share. There we go. Okay, so I have the lovely Bailey Cherricker. Just as a reference, we do know each other because we were in the same grad program, but I am going to let her introduce herself as well.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Bailey Cherricker. I'm a second-year graduate student in the Student Affairs program with Cameron. So I'm so happy to be here today. I did a UPIC internship during my undergraduate experience here at Clemson. I graduated from Clemson in May 2023 with a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education. And my UPIC internship was the Bridge to Clemson program. And so I specifically was an academic coach for that office. So it was a really great experience and I can't wait to talk about it more in today. And also if you have any questions for that, please feel free to ask.
Yeah. I will also introduce myself. So my name is Cameron Hubbard. I serve as the graduate assistant for our UPIC program here in the Career Center. So I did my UPIC internship with the Clemson University School of Health Research with Dr. Winter Sherrill, who's our Chief Health Officer, with a collaboration initiative between Prisma Health and Clemson University. I graduated from Clemson in December 2022 with a Bachelor's of Science in Biological Sciences, and now I work for UPIC as a graduate assistant. So this is also like a full circle moment for me. So how this will go is I have a few questions that me and Bailey will kind of converse and go back and forth and answer. And then at the end, if you guys have any questions, or if you have the questions immediately, you can put them in the chat and we'll answer them more towards the end. All right, first question. What initially drew you to your internship opportunity and then how did it align with your academic or career goals then?
Yeah, so to start back, when I first came to Clemson, I was in the Bridge to Clemson program. So I started off as a Bridge student. So my first year was at Tri-County. I absolutely loved the program. I was very involved with orientation. I also did a work study position within that office. And then when I transitioned over to Clemson, I still wanted to have a part-time job of some sort. And so I was just looking at stuff and I saw that the Bridge office had sent one out about a UPIC internship. And so that is how I found it. I was able to do an interview process, was able to do the whole application. And since I had already had knowledge on Bridge, but it was a different outlook of working at Clemson was something I was very interested in because I had the knowledge of the Tri-County side.
Right.
The Clemson side was something I didn't really know about. And so that was really interesting. And so during the time of when that came out, I was unsure about my major of wanting to be an elementary education major. Education is something I've always been passionate about, but the teaching side I wasn't sure of. And so I knew that this opportunity would maybe allow me to see different ways of education, working in higher ed. So that is how I got into that internship, and it sparked my interest personally because I knew education was my dream of being in. I just didn't know which side of education.
Which is fair. I know a lot of students in general, whether that's education, science, we think that we can only do one certain career. So then like for me and being a biological science major, I thought I could just be a doctor, do research, and same thing with you being elementary ed. Just thought teaching was the route, but that's not always the case. So then, thank you for that. With me, I was a biological science major, like I said earlier, before it was biochemistry. And taking organic chemistry 1 and 2 on Zoom during the COVID era when we were at home, just was not, yeah, it was very rough. And so I wanted to get more experience, I guess, in research to see if that's something I wanted to do. And so I looked on Clemson Job Link, and it's gone through a few changes now back then we're in undergrad, which is a good thing. And so applied to the position that I did for my UPIC internship, and like same thing with Bailey, went through an interview process. First time really going through like a serious interview. So that was a little nerve-wracking as well, but I think UPIC does a great job of making sure that students know, hey, this is what's gonna happen, this is what you're gonna do, according to the department as well. And got that UPIC intern position, and it did a lot for me in, I guess, learning how to be in office culture, learning how to, talk to people that were, professors and doctors and stuff like that. So then, like I said, then I wanted to be in research. Now we're both in the student affairs program, so not so much.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what skills or knowledge did you develop in your internship that kind of, I guess, benefited you on the path to higher education?
Yeah. I definitely gained a lot of the competency skills within engagement, definitely the communication side, collaboration. With the Bridge to Clemson program, you work in 2 different universities, so Tri-County Technical College and Clemson University, so you have to have that collaboration of both schools. And so just making sure I had that communication and collaboration between both teams was very essential for me, making sure they understood who I was and like what my role was. Definitely learning technology. That was a big competency, was learning that. I was using all different kind of platforms. About that time was when Zoom, because that was after 2020, so Zoom was still big for me. I was still learning it, but I always had the options with my students if they wanted to meet over Zoom, so I was still navigating Zoom. Something that I did within my UPIC internship was create a Bridge to Clemson newsletter for students, and so I had to use a platform called MailChimp that I had never used before. So that was very interesting, just learning how it like fit with Clemson branding, make sure that everything was in it for Clemson students or Bridge Clemson students, but making sure that they understood the Clemson resources as well, because a lot of students were just understanding Tri-County side, but not Clemson side as much as possible. So make sure they even knew where the office was for the Bridge to Clemson office, which is in Vickery, and a lot of students don't know where that is. So making sure that we were collecting the resources, and MailChimp allowed me to see what engagement we were having with students, and I was trying to find different ways to make sure they were engaged. And so I did see an increase of like making sure to include different types of information and not just the same old thing, and like different ways to make it fun.
Fair. What type of things did you implement into the newsletter that kind of increased engagement?
So instead of creating something that I always like to do is make flyers and make sure that flyers were implemented instead of creating like long lists of events. I felt like just having a flyer was very beneficial. Also making sure links to things were active because that also created like more engagement among students, and just including things like social media. I also would make posts on Instagram called Tip Tuesdays for students who didn't know things about Clemson, or excuse me, not know things, but just not as knowledgeable on that side. And so that was really helpful, just little things like Grammarly, making sure students that have a Clemson email, they know that that is free to them as a college student, and a lot of them were like, oh,
What's that?
I didn't know that, and that's really helpful.
Yeah.
So just giving little tidbits everywhere was really good.
That is a slight plug. Grammarly is free for all Clemson students,
It
whether you are
is.
undergraduate or graduate. We use that a lot with our papers in graduate school.
Yeah.
So just log in with your Clemson email. So that's awesome. I mean, I've used MailChimp as well, it's a platform to learn how to use.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a little difficult. But I think it's a good platform to kind of, like you said, reach that engagement of students and actually see what they're clicking on, how many clicks they're using. You can see views and different things like that for a newsletter or just a flyer in general. So great, awesome. And so considering that we both kind of went a different route of going to higher ed, and you coming from elementary ed and me coming from, science, how did kind of your internship shape what you want to do now, your long-term goals, which you can also tell people what your long-term goals are.
Yeah, so like I had mentioned earlier, initially when I first started my UPIC journey, it was to be a teacher. I wanted to be third or fifth grade teacher. That was my route for all my life. I knew I was gonna teach, like, was very hard-headed about not doing anything else. And so within doing my UPIC journey, that definitely shifted. I wasn't necessarily enjoying as much as my education classes, but I was enjoying my internship more. And so thankfully I had graduate assistants like you and I are within our program, the graduate assistants for the bridge program who were in the student affairs program at the time. They were able to give me a lot of insight on what student affairs was and how that is a career. And so within the UPIC program, also how you have your check-ins. Mine was with Dr. Karen Kelly Hall. Shout out to her. She is on the call today. And I just remember talking with her about potential career goals that I wanted. And I just remember telling her, she was actually the first person I ever told. I didn't tell her this yesterday, but I saw her. And I told her how just much of an impact she had on my journey to higher ed, because she was like the first person I ever admitted out loud that like student affairs was the route I wanted to go on, because I had never considered that before. And I just remember her being so encouraging and saying things like, you're exactly what student affairs needs. You're the type of person we're looking for. And so that just was so special to me to actually hear that there are different outlooks of my career paths, and so how that can play into my long-term goals. So just having different mentorships between them, the GAs and Dr. Karen Kelly Hall, and just people within the Virtual Clemson program really allowed me to see different plans I had for myself. And so now my long-term plans are a lot different. Definitely not in the elementary ed side, but my assistantship is with academic advising in our College of Behavioral, Social, and Health Sciences. So I advise health science students. And so I really love that aspect. I've got to do internships within orientation and also alumni engagement. So I'm still like trying to figure it out of what specific higher ed long-term goals I want, but maybe potentially one day I'm thinking of a doctorate.
Yeah.
And so that's in the cards.
That could be the
So
cards.
my UPIC internship is definitely led me to my goals now, and then I know it'll continue to lead me to where I want to be.
Definitely, that's very true. A lot of us in the higher education program, for those who don't know, we usually say we went back to college to work at a college, but we really enjoy working with students, supporting students through different avenues. Billy does that through academic advising, and I do that in my assistantship through site visits with our UPIC interns, through career counseling, through different events like this, through workshops. And definitely, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with Bailey that the UPIC internship definitely showed me research was not for me. It was more so
It's a
the people
different
side.
thing.
Yeah, it's more so I love the people side of it. So in my internship, I got to do spotlights and newsletters. So I got to interview different doctors and researchers in Prisma Health and kind of see their journey of how they got to where they are, and like write about it and type it up in this formal newsletter, and people read it all across Prisma Health Systems. And so doing those interviews definitely told me, hey, this is something I kind of want to do. And I'm sitting here kind of doing the same thing now, interviewing people and getting to hear their stories of, how they came to be where they are. Again, in my UPIC internship, I also got to be a TA. Teaching's not for me. I love teachers. I think they are definitely needed. But I think teaching is not for me, but I did like working with students, whether that was adults or, in college. And so that was something that definitely helped me on my hiring journey as well. Another person that I think Dr. Carrie Hall is also one. Another person that I had during my UPIC internship was Lisa Robinson. She's not with UPIC anymore, but she was a transformable person for me to just talk about my experiences at my internship. And also Kate Bradford, who is the director of the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement now, who kind of told me what student affairs was and what higher education is. So definitely use that Clemson community that you kind of grow and build that you have, because you just never know how they may impact you now from the time you graduate and even after. I still talk to Kate today, and we still go and eat lunch sometimes. So you just never know what kind of relationships we'll build at Clemson. So, or even just through your internship.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of switching gears, within your UPIC internship, how did you build a working relationship with your mentor? And mentors, for those who don't know, those are the supervisors of UPIC interns. We don't like to say supervisors because mentoring is a two-way street. So you're learning from the intern and also the mentor learning from you as well.
Yes, so my mentor actually was somebody I knew going into the bridge program. Well, let me right now. So my supervisor, when I started as a student in the bridge program, she had also started working in the bridge diplomacy program. So, and I was also as a work study position, so she would come to the Tri-County side. So I got to know her through that, and then also doing orientation with them. She was a member who also worked there. She's the assistant director for bridge right now.
Yeah.
And so she was the supervisor when I was, or excuse me, a mentor there. And so we kind of already knew each other a little bit just from as being a bridge student, but now coming as to Clemson and then doing the UPIC. We always had one-on-ones, just checking in with each other, just seeing how things were going in the program, and not even just in the UPIC program, but just life in general. I feel like it's very important to have because it can feel like a lot with school, just you got your classes going on, and just hearing like that relationship being built between us was really important. So we just always had like one-on-ones, just check in, seeing how we were doing, seeing if there was any way she could support me, giving me different projects, and like us talking through like how I felt about them. If something was too much for me, she was like, it's okay if you need to take a step back. So the communication and connection part was really big for me for that mentorship.
And that gauging not just within your UPIC internship, but your life in general is a big part of why UPIC is different. UPIC internships, they kind of make sure that you're doing well as a person, not just as a student or as a student, like an intern. So I agree with you. I did not have a working relationship with my mentor at first, but we got to know each other a lot because every Monday we would drive to Greenville together. And to Prisma Health, so of course to save gas, but also just because I was new to the Prisma Health office. And so just to make sure that I was, able to get there, so I didn't have to worry about, gas with my car to Greenville every Monday. And so I think those car rides, getting to know her as a person, getting to know her family, getting to know me definitely helped us when we, like I said, working on projects together or just doing events after work hours or just talking about school in general. Mrs. Evatt was a great mentor. Also, Dr. Cheryl was also my mentor as well. And I think working with her on a variety of different projects definitely helps me learn more about her job, but also helped me learn more about what I can do to help her and what she can do to help me. I made a lot of different connections with her, not just through my internship, but just of course across the Clemson University higher administration. I know I met the provost before, and so meeting him was kind of cool. I was like, oh wow, I'm sitting across the room from the provost. I think it's Dr. Robert Jones. And so that was pretty cool to meet him, but also just to see how, upper administration and the health collaboration at Clemson works. I know now they're, building a veterinarian school, and I know that Clemson has always had that collaboration with Prisma Health. But as someone who's not from here, I had no clue what Prisma Health was. So getting to know that and getting to see that was pretty cool as well. Awesome. Okay. Now, so how did you handle moments of uncertainty and self-doubt during your internship?
Yeah. Hey, that's a really great question. I definitely think for uncertainty, because I was unsure about my major at the time. I did a lot of just self-reflection. That was really helpful for me. Just to think about what my goals were, making sure that I utilized the resources that were available to me as far as like advising, coaching, that kind of stuff for specifically my major, but within my internship and how that would go into me changing my career path. Definitely having the people there, a part of my internship was really important, making sure that I was talking with them about like what my career goals were and how they could support me. Definitely the GAs, the graduate assistants that I was talking about earlier that provided a lot of mentorship to me. They did just a phenomenal job of helping me like think about career goals, different opportunities for myself, and making sure that I was using all the things to better myself.
Yeah, so let's talk about it out loud helps too, with someone that's in the field you
Yeah.
wanna be in, so that's definitely very understandable. Okay. Yes, that's-
Yeah.
For me, I think handling that uncertainty, same thing with Bailey, similar to her. I think not knowing what I wanted to do at first and doing this internship kind of helped me get away with that self-doubt and the uncertainty, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I graduate in what, a year and a half or 2 years. And that pressure that students put on themselves, I also put that pressure on myself to be like, I gotta know what I'm gonna do. Right, I gotta know what I'm gonna do after I graduate. I need a job. I need to make sure, I have a way to provide for myself. So handling those moments of just uncertainty with my internship just, kind of helped to talk that out with my mentor, both mentors. And I think having two was a blessing in disguise in a way, because I got different opinions, but also, different ways of knowing how to do and go through problems and stuff like that. I think more uncertainty in my internship was certain events. So we had certain events with high profile people such as doctors, researchers, professors. And I think that feeling of being like, just a student, an intern, I'm running this event for these, high level people. And I think that, but honestly, if you think about it, they're also just people too. Just talking to them as being respectful, of course, but also just talking to them as people as well helps in those times of in uncertainty and doubt. So definitely.
I definitely agree with that, because with my internship with academic coaching, like an academic coach, if you've used one here, Clemson is somebody who helps you specialize with time management, organizational skills, responsibility. And sometimes I was like, I don't even know if I have those aspects of my life well figured out. And now I'm supposed to tell another student, but that's just kind of something that allowed me to be like, no, you do know these things, and it's okay if they don't take every single bit
Right.
of what you're saying. You're just giving them the resources and the tools that you can, and it's your job to make sure that they understand. And I always did a follow-up with them afterwards. That was something that was very important to me. Like, hey, we met a week ago.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see how you were doing. If they didn't respond, they didn't respond. And that put me down sometimes, but I had to remind myself, like, you're not gonna get a response out of everybody.
That's true.
And all you can do is just keep putting in the effort to make sure you're reaching out to them and let them know that you are there for them, and that's what matters. So.
And sometimes it takes that continuous reaching out. That's whether students or faculty members, just to say, hey, I'm showing the initiative of I want to make sure you're okay, you're doing great. And sometimes they will respond at the end.
Yeah.
But something else I wanted to kind of hit on what you talked about. Even though I guess students, or as we're graduate assistants now, we don't know everything, but we're learning. And so I know something that I got told last semester as a graduate assistant, you're not just a GA. We do so much more as graduate assistants, but also y'all as students. I'll do a lot more in your day of, being a student, you're, president, you're a member of this club, you work, you do a lot of different things. You're not just a student. So think about yourself as a whole person. But going back to not just being a GA, we do a lot of different things in our assistantships. Both of us do. We run events, we interact with many students across the semester or a year. And so I think just looking at social GAs is not doing us justice because of the work we put in and the things that we're learning in our program. So also that's also a Dr. Karen Kelly Hall quote, you're not just a GA. And so that's something that I want to hit on as well. All righty. So next question. So now that you're kind of in higher education and student affairs, which competency do you feel like you utilize the most? And I can bring this back up as well if you need to.
Let me think. You can go first.
Okay, I can go first.
I need to think about it.
Fair. So for me, I work in the career center, so I've known the core competencies, all of them. And I think for me, I think it's that self-awareness piece, but also that brand. So those are the last two cluster, or I'm sorry, the last cluster, professionalism. And so knowing where I am, who I am, and just seeing how I'm growing as a second year GA, has definitely, I think, helped me realize, hey, I'm going to be in a job search next year. I may be over people who are, younger than me or who are older than me, but knowing that I still have the knowledge and tools and resources, even if I don't know everything, you can say, I don't know everything, or I don't know that problem or that answer, but I can go help you and find someone that can. So having that self-awareness piece, but also the brand of knowing who I am professionally and personally, has definitely helped. I think getting out of my shell a little bit and, showing people more my personality, whether that's professionally or personally, and doing the work that I know I can do, is definitely feel like I've utilized that the most. And that's through events like this. I mean, I came up with this and kind of pivoted to make sure that we could put on this event, or just, doing different workshops for students, whether that's 10 students or 25 students. So that professional brand has definitely been something I feel like I've utilized the most in. What about you?
I definitely think the engagement piece of it with communication, collaboration, like talking about earlier. So with advising, I definitely am always communicating with my students all the time. So I advise 100 health science students here at Clemson, freshmen and sophomores. So I'm always making sure that I'm in contact with them, making sure that they're up to date on specific courses or prereqs, especially because a lot of my students are planning to go to medical school, PA school, pharmacy school, dental school, you name it. I'm the one who is trying to help them get there. And so making sure I'm in communication with them a lot, like you were talking about, like the self-regulation piece, because we will be in job search next year. I could be potentially over somebody who is older than I am or younger than me. And so making sure that I am like making sure that I know the knowledge, and if I don't know that knowledge, then saying things like, I don't know it right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it. And still definitely technology. Still
The technology piece is always gonna be.
technology is always gonna be there, and so making sure you're adaptable and making sure you're knowing specific ones like that on your campus too, like for advising and stuff, using Slate, that's something we have to use iRoar. So making sure that you're staying up to date with specific ones, degree works. I know y'all have degree work, make sure you use okay. So yeah.
Definitely, no, definitely. I agree. I think for me, same thing, that technology piece has also been something that you kind of have to keep going. We're in the generation of technology. We grew up with, iPods and all the
Yeah.
phones. Even now, just using the Remarkable here that we're using for the Career Center, learning new technology has been something that definitely you have to kind of be adaptable with and keep learning it. I mean, go to YouTube, go to the internet and see how you can learn more things about different things and information. So that's very true. Okay. Next question. If you could go back to your internship experience, would you do anything different?
I would say yes.
Okay.
I would do some things a little differently. I think for me, and this is just be honest, something that kind of always stressed, like just me personally, like I was always afraid I wouldn't get my work done or like the hour requirement done, just personally for myself. It was an aspect that I was, but I'm also just somebody who's like, I want to make sure I get it done. So
Yes,
sometimes I
that's
put a little bit too much pressure on myself. So I think I would just go back and say, it's okay, like take your time, like this is what these people are here for, to make sure that you are meeting, because you are a full-time student at the end of the day.
Okay.
And so making sure that you're doing what's best for you. So that was just me personally. I think I just put a lot of stress on myself, but we're all our own worst critics. So
That's very true.
that's just personally for me. I think that's just what I would do differently, not stress as much. I felt like I was just, because I wanted to make sure I was doing my best, which I knew I was.
Right.
And there was also another intern the same time I was, but we just had different schedules.
Okay.
So that was kind of hard because like we had to work on a lot of things together, but our schedules were so different. So it was, that was like something that was, I just had to learn on myself, but I don't think anything too much that I would change. That might just be the only piece, but that's just a personal thing for me, just not putting too much pressure on myself.
Understandable.
But yeah.
No, I feel that pressure part as a student in general. I think for me, same thing. A lot of times I wasn't worried about meeting the hours, 'cause I knew I had a lot of things to do, but
Yeah.
I think just making sure that it was to the best of my ability. I didn't want
Yeah.
to send anything unfinished.
Yeah.
Even though Dr. Sherwood really was like, hey, just start something.
Yeah.
Just start, like, just
That's how
start
mine
it.
was
Yeah, but I
too.
wanted to be like, I want to finish it, I
want
make
it
sure it's
done.
done, yeah.
Yeah, I was like way over my hours by like a certain amount of time, but it was something in my head. I was just like, you still need to get this done.
Right. Had to get it done.
Yeah, I had to
Okay.
get it done, but I was totally fine. So, no worries.
If I would do something differently, I don't know much I would do differently, but I think I would lean into more of my creative side. I had a lot of opportunities to be creative. For me, and goes back to just being in the science field, I felt like I couldn't be as creative because I didn't have an outlet to be creative. So in my classes, most of the time we had labs and we had, tests and different labs that we had to follow according to a protocol. And I feel like I couldn't be as creative, and I had a lot of different creative things that I could do that I were doing in my internship, and I just felt like I wasn't creative enough, or I didn't let myself be creative enough. Just working on different flyers, doing different things with newsletters, or just doing different things with a PowerPoint slide, like even just showing my creativity that way. I felt like I had to be, somewhat like, straight lines, nothing too out extra. And I feel like I didn't let myself do that or say that I can be more creative in my internship. But now I'm able to kind of do that now in my UPIC GA, which is very full circle, I guess you could say, because now I'm able to do those creative outlets and be able to show that I am more creative than I thought I was. So it's definitely helped. But that was the only thing I would probably do differently, just to tell myself, like you said, that self-reflection.
Yeah.
Hey, you are creative, you are more
Yeah.
than creative enough to do these different events and flyers and stuff like that, and kind of step out your own box and comfort zone. So
And it definitely goes back to that previous question of like what your uncertainties and that kind of stuff. I would also say too, just thinking about it, using your UPIC resources. I never really used them as much as I should have. Like I met with Dr. Karen Kelly Hall, but stuff like this, like a panel or just different resources you guys have, I just felt like I never personally utilized them. So I think definitely going back, I would tell myself to use them.
So, yeah, easily.
Guys.
Yeah. Oh, I know if you are a UPIC intern, or if you're not, or you're thinking about becoming one. We have a staff. And we're all here for the students. We want to make sure that you're there, even if you meet with us outside of your site visits or just outside of your professional meetings. We're there to help you as you're going through this internship. And a lot of students forget that. They just think,
Yeah.
hey, I just have to meet with you. That's it. No, we're still here if you have questions about anything. I tell students who are on my site visit list, hey, I'm also a student too. If you have questions about Clemson, you have questions about other things, use me as a resource as well. Like I said, we're all resources here on Clemson's campus, so be sure to use that in a way too. All right, so the second to last question, and then we'll kind of jump to if you have any questions as students. What advice would you give to students to help them succeed in a UPIC internship, or if they're looking to become a UPIC intern, how can they be successful? You kind of touched on a little bit, but if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it encompasses all the things we've been talking about already, making sure you're using your community around you, doing your research, figure out which UPIC internship you have interest in. I know for me, the Bridge to Clemson option was because I was a former student of the program and just really enjoyed learning more about the partnership between Tri-County and Clemson and how that coincides with Clemson and Tri-County students
Yeah.
holistically and how to get them across to the bridge over here for that. So that's why I just say like research what you want to do, because like to be real with you, I don't know if I would have enjoyed the one you were in because I had no interest in like the healthcare side, but it was because I really looked into what I wanted to do. But also, if you are interested in something that you're not sure of, that's also a great way to think of something you maybe never even thought of before.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in research, like that might be an aspect of your professional journey you haven't thought of yet, but this is such a great opportunity for you to really learn if that's what you want to do. I would definitely also say, just continue to build that connection among your UPIC family and really see like the people in the UPIC program, the different people you're working with, whether it's another intern or GAs or your supervisor, because it really can create that lifelong journey of the success that you're wanting from it, hopefully.
That's very true. Agreed. Yeah, a lot of things that Bailey hit on. For students to be successful, of course, I tell students all the time, whether they come in the Career Center or by meeting with them one-on-one in an appointment or drop-in, UPIC internships, there's a variety of different positions. I know we just vetted almost 400 positions. So, I mean, there's something for everyone, whether that's in your major or not your major, or let's say you're interested in gaming. We have stuff for gaming. If you're interested in, wildlife in biology, we have stuff in the dairy farm. There's a host of different opportunities for students to find out what they want to do, even that's outside their major or inside their major. I know some students even create their own UPIC internships. So they've been working on, let's say, a project with a professor they've had for the past year and a half or 2 years, and they were like, hey, I would love to continue to do this. Well, you can do a UPIC internship out of that. And a lot of students don't realize that you can kind of create your own UPIC internship. Your mentors have to fill out a form, and they're able to, kind of turn the opportunity for you into something that you can get paid for, something that you can talk about in, networking and interviews, or just to people to make sure that students are aware of this opportunity. A lot of students don't know what UPIC is, and we're trying to make sure we get the word out there about UPIC. But I think, yeah, if students are looking to become a UPIC intern, Clemson Job Link is a great tool. That's where we post all of our positions on there. So that's something that a lot of students really don't utilize Clemson Job Link as much as they should, but it's definitely a good platform for jobs, internships, whether that's on campus or off campus. So that's kind of also how you can be successful. Also come to the Career Center. A lot of students forget that we are here until you graduate or a year after you graduate. We're trying to get students to come in early. The earlier you come, the better and successful you'll be, whether that's in your major or just looking for jobs in general or just getting your resume reviewed. So come to the Career Center as early as you can. That could be, next tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tomorrow Saturday, but that could be Monday.
Don't do it tomorrow.
Don't do it tomorrow. Don't do it tomorrow. But yeah, come in the Career Center and just utilize the resources because you do pay for them. So it's better to use them now. Yeah. All right, Bailey, last question before we head over to the chat, if we have any questions in there. We kind of touched on this again, but why UPIC?
Yes, that's a great question. Without UPIC, I would not be in the position I am in right now, and I'm so thankful. I remember when I was going through the UPIC process, I would tell my mom and my dad and my stepmom and my stepdad all about it. And they would just always say, that's a really cool experience that you're getting to learn more about different career paths. It also allowed me to grow my connections just as a professional. The other day I was on another panel and I got to see two of the GAs that really poured into me as an undergraduate student. And one of them said, it's so crazy that you're in your second year of your master's program, because when she was working in the Bridge office while I was doing my UPIC internship, she was in her first year. So it just shows you how much time flies, and we're friends on social media. So it's just really cool to see how that one internship really allowed me to meet so many people and really expand my network. And it's just a really great opportunity as Clemson students for you to really see what you're interested in and how this will play into your career goals. So I 100% recommend UPIC.
It's endorsement
For anybody that wants to do it, because without it, I wouldn't be here today. So
she's not getting paid to.
I'm not getting paid. I do want a t-shirt afterwards, but that's a different story.
She will get.
That's a different story.
It's in a bag. But yes, no, I 100% agree with Bailey. Why UPIC? I mean, I honestly would not be in the position I am to be able to do events like this, to talk to get to know Bailey. We did not know each other before we came to.
We both went to Clemson.
Yes, we probably crossed paths. We probably crossed paths sometime, but we did not know each other before we got to our master's program. And I mean, now, she's one of my very best friends, and we've gone through the program. And it's crazy that we are in our second year, but I wouldn't have been in this position without my UPIC internship and without knowing what else is out there for me, and not just doing the route going to be a doctor. Nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't for me, and I knew that.
Right.
Or going to do research. And I think having the opportunity to be exposed to a different side of healthcare, but also student affairs in general in a healthcare setting, because that's technically what that was, I would not be in the position I am today. And so I'm very grateful to have that experience with UPIC and to be able to talk about this experience with UPIC, but also be a part of the UPIC team in general, because now I'm on the other side, getting to see different interns and getting to see what they do, because now we have a host of different interns that do a variety of different things. I know one time, I think it was last week at site visit, I went to the soil lab. We have a whole soil lab that, farmers, people from across the country send in their soil samples to get tested for, different certain crops in South Carolina or just crops in general. And I got to experience that, and I would never get to say that I get to do something like that if I wasn't in this position that I was today. And so I highly recommend, please do UPIC if you can. It's something that, we have available at Clemson. Everyone across the country does not have a UPIC program or on-campus internship program. And we get schools, you know, almost every month talking about how can we start this, how can we do this? And so we're very grateful to have this program.
Yeah, and the fact that I was also able to get paid
That part.
was so nice, because I remember I would tell my friends, I was like, I'm doing my internship, and they were like, are you getting paid for that? And I was like,
Yeah.
I am, and it was very nice, so.
Yes, we are a paid program, $14 an hour part-time, $16 an hour full-time, just a slight plug. But yes, it is a paid program, and we're very happy that we're able to provide students the money for their hard work that they do across campus, so. All righty, let's hear the chat, see if you have any questions.
Wow, you guys both did such a great job. I'm gonna play this recording as many times as possible, as many times as possible. We don't have any questions in the chat currently, but you know, for the participants, if any of y'all would like to chime in and ask Bailey or Cameron anything, now's your chance. They'd love to answer any questions that y'all might have.
I think you have more compliments than questions, which is awesome, Cameron and Bailey.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, look at the chat now and thank you guys.
Aw.
I love this. Awesome. Well, we don't have any questions. I'm gonna go back to our slide deck that we have, because you have a few events coming up for the Career Center, and want to highlight some of our resources that we do have as well. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Go back to the 2020 era. Can everyone see my screen? All righty. So upcoming on October 30th, we do have Working Well, which is a new workshop we are doing, which is protecting your mental health in the workplace. This will be virtual. It's also on our events page as well in the Career Center website. So if you're interested in learning more about how to make sure you are increasing your well-being in the workplace and dealing with imposter syndrome as a student, or if you're going into the workforce, this is the perfect workshop for you. This is a really good workshop, and we've never done something like this before, and so I think it's really good if students would love to hear about this across any type of major, any type of career field. Again, like I said, plug, we do have other events going on at our events page, which is our new website at career.clemson.edu. At the end of this month, I think it's October 28th through the 31st, we will be having our Halloween Career Week. So all of our you know, counselors in the office have decorated their doors, different Halloween themes. I've seen some really good Halloween themes. I can tell y'all that's a surprise.
They look good.
They do.
I came over here, I was really impressed by these doors, so you better come see them.
And so students can come in and vote on your favorite door after you do either a drop-in or appointment. We'll also have some cookies on Halloween, just to celebrate and see if you want to vote for the doors. It's also a chance you can win 30 paw points if you come and enter the raffle as well. So yes, so come and kind of enjoy the Halloween season and the fall season, because it's getting colder now, which is crazy. But yes, come and see the career fair, or not the career fair, career week. Some of our resources, so we do have drop-ins and appointments. Drop-ins are Monday through Friday, 1:30 to 4 p.m. every day. Those are our 10 to 15-minute kind of appointments. So you can do resume, cover letter, job search, other quick questions about anything that you have. You can have questions about UPIC or co-op. We'll also answer those as well. Appointments are going to be your longer, so it's going to be 30 to 60 minutes. Those are in the mornings from 9:30 to 12 p.m. and then in the afternoons as well from 1:30 to 4. And those can be either longer topics. They can also be resume and cover letter, but they can be if you're thinking about changing your major, if you're thinking about, you know, you have a job interview coming up and you do a mock interview, or if you want to take one of our career assessments, you can take those as well. If you're getting ready for graduate school, we also do personal statements and kind of how to apply for graduate school as well. And you can schedule an appointment at Clemson Job Link. That's also on our website, career.clemson.edu. Last thing here, we do have our survey for our workshop. This is our survey to make sure that, you know, if students are enjoying these types of things, we want to make sure we're hearing and getting your feedback as a Career Center. We do value all of our students' feedback, whether you're a first year or a first year alumni, to make sure that we're putting on what you want to see. So that also concludes our panel. I will stop recording now, but if you have any questions, please let us know as well.